And today we are looking at a Japanese Sega Saturn. Now the first thing you notice about the Japanese Sega Saturn is the coloration is a little different. You have these blue buttons here, and it's gray. It's not a dark black thing. The design on the top is a little different, and when you boot it up, you see this. Aha! Different, isn't it? Yes, it is. Now, of course, today we're going to be looking at the game that we're going to be looking at with this is Azel, Panzer Dragoon RPG. We're going to go ahead and put that sucker right in there. That makes different music and different noise. It's virtually, hardware-wise, it's identical to the American Sega Saturn. It has the cartridge slot here for memory, disc, the disc slot here, 2 controller points, a reset button, and an open button here. The icons, of course, are a little different. To launch your app, you have the little Sega S thing there. We're going to go ahead and launch that. The controller is virtually the same. Any old Sega Saturn controller will do just fine. And of course, this one came with it. Now this is, of course, what the graphics look like on here. Quite good. Now, of course, the Sega Saturn wasn't capable of actual full motion video at the time. The way that Sony, with their PlayStation 1, was able to do full motion video, real full motion video. What this is a dumbed down little copy thing that they did. Not quite the same thing as real full motion video. The Sega Saturn, of course, was not as strong as the PlayStation. It can be argued that it's somewhere in the neighborhood of something between an Atari Jaguar and a Sony PlayStation. I know a lot of people are going to say, oh, the Jaguar didn't have any power to it. Saturn was much more powerful. I don't know about that. There's a lot of points, pro and con, to that argument. I'm not going to get into that right now. Sega lost this generation for a reason, and for many reasons, and this was one of them. Just not quite enough girth. They were looking to their arcade division for an answer. Their arcade games at the time were strong. They figured doing, something that would be able to run their arcade games, maybe just a slightly dumbed down version of their AM2 board would do it. Would be more than enough girth. It wasn't enough girth. Other machines came out with much more girth. The PlayStation and the N64 in particular. And this game is rare. This Japanese version, probably not as valuable as the American version. The American version can go actually for hundreds of dollars. Ooh. And of course I can't read a bloomin' thing. I have to put my name in. Nan desu ka? Where's ah? I know what ah is. Okay, here we go. my name is gonna be, I think this is is my name. I'm looking for a better representation of and I don't see it really. Maybe that's it. And again, you can see that the graphics on this, by even yesterday's standards, aren't that great. But then it's an RPG. RPGs don't necessarily have to have the greatest graphics. I'll go over here and look at the other one. Now this Japanese Saturn, of course, the battery is still good. One of the things that happens with these things when the batteries go is you have to put in the date and the time every single time. This one still has a battery. If it goes, you can change it. And this is how this works. You basically look around for stuff. There we go. And then you highlight and you do this kind of crap. To power up, you use the B button to move forward. You steer, and then you highlight things that catch your interest. Access. You hit it with a bomb, and it gives you something. Go in that way now. If you're familiar with this game and you're looking to get it for a much cheaper price than the collector's price, I recommend getting the Japanese version and trying to get through that. You could pay 10 times less than what you would pay for the American version. But anyway, this system, of course, has, you know, a low poly count. It's not able to do a lot of the effects that a lot of the other systems were able to do, which is why Sega kind of blew it with this system. And they moved on to the Dreamcast, which at first was quite well on its own as well, but then, of course, we all know what happened there. But anyway, it's the Japanese Sega Saturn import. Not as dark. Much, more interesting, different opening sequence, but otherwise, for the most part, pretty much the same thing as the American Sega Saturn, and there it is.